All right, you seen the title, and I know that thumbnail made you click. I'm gonna show you guys how to make Philly cheesesteak stuffed shells. Man, absolutely delicious. Let's go. All right, so here are the ingredients we're gonna use for today's recipe. Let's go ahead and do a quick roll call. So back here we have our pasta shells. Now guys, you want the large pasta shells like this. If you don't get the large ones, it's gonna be pretty tough for you to stuff them, all right? We have beef broth. We have our ground beef back here. We have some of that W sauce, AKA that Worcestershire sauce. We have cubes of cheese here. What I did is I cut them up into cubes. I have about 30 cubes here. We have some whole milk, cornstarch, seasoned salt, ketchup, some black pepper. Have 1 onion chopped, 1 bell pepper chopped, and we have 2 tablespoons of butter right here. So really not that many ingredients, guys, but let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna start doing is we're gonna prepare our beef. I recommend you use a cast iron skillet. So we're gonna bring this skillet up to temperature. All right, so it looks like our pan is up to temperature. So we're gonna take our beef and we're gonna drop it in here just like that. Don't start crumbling it yet. We want a dark crust on the bottom of this ground beef. So we're gonna let it sit there and cook for maybe about a minute till we get that nice crust on the bottom. All right, so let's check and see if we got a nice crust on the bottom. All right, guys, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start kind of breaking it up in the pan. Now that we got a nice little crisp at the bottom. All right, guys, so it looks like we're there. So we're gonna pause our heat and we're gonna remove our ground beef from our pan. We're just gonna add it to a bowl here. All right, guys, so this is what we have. So I'm gonna sit this aside. If you have any fat in your pan, just leave it there and we're gonna continue on with our next step. All right, now that our beef is out of the pan, we're gonna add our butter and we're gonna get this to start melting. We'll add our onions and our bell peppers. And we're gonna let these brown for about 1 to 2 minutes before we actually start stirring them. All right, so we're gonna start giving these a quick stir and let them cook for another 1 to 2 minutes. All right, we're gonna give this another stir. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our beef back into our pan. And we're gonna get that mixed up. And now we're gonna add our pepper, our seasoned salt, our ketchup, and our W sauce. And we're gonna get it mixed up like this. And once we have it fully mixed, what we're gonna do is we're going to turn our heat off and we're gonna let it rest here until we get our pasta shells ready, all right? So let's move over into our pasta shells. All right, so now we're over to our stove. We have our water coming up to boil. I've already added a little salt into it. So I'm gonna add about 30 pasta shells in here and we're gonna let them start cooking according to the box instructions, all right? So whatever your box instructions say, and then we'll be right back. All right, so it looks like our pasta shells are ready. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna get our pasta shells drained, and then I'm gonna pour some cold water over the shells to stop them from cooking, all right? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start filling our pasta shells with our ground beef mixture. So we're gonna take a pasta shell like this, and we're just gonna start placing our ground beef mixture inside, and we're gonna sit it like this, just like that. All right, guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up. That way you don't have to sit here and watch me do it. I'm finish them up, and then we'll be right back to continue the recipe. All right, so I filled the taco shells that were able to fit here in our baking dish. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding our cheese, our cubes of cheese. Now, you wanna maintain half of your cubes of cheese. So I had about 30 cubes, so I wanna keep about 15 of them for the cheese sauce. So we're just gonna start adding them here. And you can do about, 2 per shell. And if your shells don't sit up, don't get too concerned about it. It's not gonna be the end of the world. And while we're doing this, guys, you wanna preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You want that baby hot and ready to go once you finish loading your shells with with the cheese and sauce. This is what we have here. We're gonna sit this aside and prepare our cheese sauce. All right, guys, so we're gonna use the same pan that we use for cooking the meat and our veggies. And we're gonna turn it on, start getting it up to temperature. And we're gonna add our beef broth and our milk. And we're gonna get this up to temperature. We're gonna add our cornstarch. And we're gonna get that whisked in like this. And we're gonna let this cook for about 3 to 5 minutes until it thickens. All right, so now we have it up to temperature. We're gonna add the remaining of our cheese. And we're gonna allow this to melt and cook for 3 to 5 minutes until it thickens. All right, so we're about 4 to 5 minutes in. Our cheese is melted. Our sauce has the consistency that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna turn off our heat and I'm gonna reserve about a cup of our sauce. Now we're gonna reserve the remaining for some additional dipping sauce at the end. Shell, you may want to do that, or shell you want to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on and bring our pasta shells back into the shot. Okay, so now we got our pasta shells back in the shot. We're gonna take a cup of our cheese sauce and we're just going to kind of like, not really pour it over it, but kind of round the pasta shells as much as we can. Like in between them, if you can get it in between there. Just like that. All right, so now again, I've already preheated our oven to 350 degrees. We're gonna stick them in here for about 10 minutes and we're gonna allow that cheese to melt and we're gonna pull them back out and see what they look like. All right, let's get them in the oven. All right, so we are fresh out of the oven after 10 minutes. Our cheese is melted. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, I got some chopped green onions. I'm just gonna add them over the top just to give it a little color. Man, these babies look good. All right, so now we placed them on our cutting board. Now we're gonna take some of our cheese sauce that we had reserved and we're just gonna start. And there you have it, guys. Philly cheesesteak stuffed shells. Let me know what you think about this recipe in the comment section below. Also, I'm gonna leave the measurements and ingredients in the video description below for you guys to check out. So let's go ahead and jump into quality control because I'm ready to taste them, man. These things look delicious. All right, let's go. All right, guys, so we are back in here with our Philly cheesesteak stuffed pasta shells. Oh, man. They smell good. Now, do I eat them with a fork? Do I eat them with my hand? I don't know. Let's try it with a fork just to be a little PC around here. Matter of fact, let's do it both ways. Look at that right there, man. Oh, man. That cheese. Let's get another. We're gonna get messy. I don't have time to be playing with no fork. Wow, take a look at that. Listen, that cheese sauce, oh man, works wonders. You definitely want to check this recipe out. So until then, I'm your cook, Spinelli. Y'all know this is All Wings Everything, and y'all know a little something about me. I don't consider myself a chef. I just cook a lot, and I am out. Peace.